Three of Spades, and I'm back with another Rogue Planet 2 devlog, and I've got quite a decent one this time. This time, I have begun work on the final polishing and art pass for the stress test, and in it, I have also added in some new settings. I still need to add in the brightness, the color, the contrast, and the sharpness settings, but I've been busy hammering down on the existing maps and just making sure they are looking really nice and performing really nice for the game. And as you may or may not be able to hear, there's music and there's also some rain and ambience. So I'm going to start here in order. We're going to start with the Three of Spades map. Now, I've not gone through and replaced all of the weapons yet, and not all of the sounds, but since we're going to be talking a lot about music in this episode, we're going to fine-tune the audio. Now, this here controls the sound volume of gunshots as well as explosions, but we're just going to mute the others. So if I shoot the gun, you cannot hear a sound. See? Not a sound. Throw a grenade. No sound. So that's working as intended. As well, I've also added some ammo crates throughout the maps. Some sounds like footsteps and others still need to be properly edited, but anyway. I've added a lot more trees to this map as well. This is the YouTube channel banner map. Also, hit marker sounds, like I said. And that too. But, as you can hear, the ambience is working, as well as that. There's a bunch of trees that have been added. I'm just trying to make sure that the maps are filled with all kinds of dense objects, so it doesn't just look like you're on a flat terrain in the back rooms too much anyway. And another thing I've done is I've made some normal maps for these buildings. So just for this map, the buildings look considerably more crumpled up and torn and kind of cracking apart at the seams. They almost look like they're made out of modeling clay a little, but the reasoning behind it is so that you can see like there's a bunch of cracks and dings on that building, or maybe you can't, I don't know, but depending on YouTube's compression, you can see the buildings in the background, but they're not particularly high resolution or high poly, but you see how that glows, especially there. Harry Potter ain't got shit on me, that's for damn sure. But yeah, there you go. Just little things like that I've added. I'm gonna go over to the office building, and I'm gonna show you some of the new details I've added in that. There's another statue that I've added as well. Another thing I fixed is the big demon man. He had no collision on the statue, so I've added a collision box to him, as well as that god rays that go through these trees. You can see parts of the name through the clouds. Just, you know, little details like these. I think they're really important, and it's stuff that a lot of big name developers these days tend to just totally skip out on. Let me show you some of the... Let's say if I want to turn this off and only have gunshots. There you go. These MP5 sort of weapons, the looties, have also been given a custom gun sound when you shoot, as well as all of the reloading sounds. So they are no longer using the templates, built-in sounds. They're using some of my own that I've created. And some that have been made using assets from the first game, which I think I just reused them. So we're gonna go inside here. As you can see, lampposts and all that. Very atmospheric, very moody city. In the blue. If you go over here, another thing I've added to all versions of this map is a few variants. Ladders. So if you actually wanted to get on top of these shelves like I did, and you want to grab a sniper rifle, you most certainly, you can grab a sniper rifle, you can climb up the ladders, they're on top of the shelves. Now some ladders are going to be in different positions, there may be a different amount of them depending on the map. Some maps might have debris, junk, and other clutter inside, so it's not just the same blood stains over and over, but you can look down as well as the normal maps and other, you know, bits of dirt and debris working clearly. You can, and this as well, need to fix the gunshot, but otherwise, you can get up here on top of this shelf. Also need to remove the shadow from that gun so it doesn't cast any shadows, but anyway. Go over here. And I will give this a custom font. I figured out how to add custom fonts, but you can see there's now some 3D text that has the Three of Spades channel welcome poem, which was created when I had transitioned over from PC veteran to Three of Spades and decided that I wanted to play and make video games instead of cryptic ARG things. Which, I mean, hey, those were fun, but I only made them because I wasn't sure if gaming content was allowed, thanks to people on the internet deciding that they wanted to hurt a lot of innocent people who just did things that were normal, like video games for fun. Couldn't tell you why they decided to do that, but I guess it made them feel strong and powerful, so for a long time, up until some people in real life got shot, you were not allowed to play a lot of shooting games. You were only allowed to play anime, so unfortunately, a lot of that stuff was dragged down artificially, and, you know, in its place was never anything as fun. I've also added this shelf in here. You can see it does have spark impact effects. So in the shark tank, fish cage, fish tank. Shark tank is another map, but shark cage and the fish tank here. Seaweed as well as algae has been added. Because this tank has not been cleaned, you can see the foam on the top of it as well. Jellyfish are in there too. Just a few more details. You can also see there are these ladders. This was just in the Office Assault originally, but now you have a ladder, you can climb all the way up and down. Because I figured it'd be a good change to put on all the maps, since, you know, you just got this hole here. You can fall down there and not die, which is something I had to design, but you're going to have very low health, so I figured, you know what? If you just go up and down the stairs, that's bound to turn to a choke point, so let's have the ladder too, but make it like high risk, high reward, because any schmuck with a sniper rifle could shoot you. You can also get on these tables, replace the desks with tables, remove the chairs, since those would very, very easily get you stuck. I've added some ladders on these tables, some of them anyway, some you can't get up. Others you can. So if you want to go into this room past the elevator, the elevator is only on the second floor, it goes up, never anywhere else, but it never works, of course. Go up here. Go on this one. You can also jump across as well if you want. This is also a spawn area, so you spawn like right there. Bunch of steam that's been added up here. Still some benches. And yeah, I think the whole ambiance of this has certainly been polished up a considerable amount. I'm going to show you the next map here in just a minute. Yeah, I don't think I changed everything there. Okay, good. So, I've also recorded about 240 more kill lines, which when you play the game, you will hear when you kill a person. This here is the aquarium map, which before was a little grassy. I trimmed that down a bit, but I have done some more changes to the map. I'm going to be showing those off when it loads here. But those changes include new music. I've also added some ocean ambience. As well as that, you may have noticed that the graphics menu has taken a considerably different look. I've added this kind of gradient look to it that has like this plus and minus like batteries, and then this sort of green apply settings button. So if you wanted to turn up the ambient volume, you wanted to turn up the music, you wanted to have the sound effects be kind of quiet because guns are loud, and you wanted the voices up but not all the way up, well, you can do that. Now every time it closes, it'll reset to 0, so if you press the button again, it'll turn off the audio. And you can do that if you would like, but for the sake of this demonstration, we are going to bump it up to what I had before, roughly. So let's put that there. As well as that, you can see that this map has had a coral reef growth, as well as a bunch of seaweed. There are a bunch of coral reefs where the lights once were. They are growing on the lampposts. Big coral reefs as well. Seaweed in the streets. Big trucks still have their lights working, but unfortunately they have been flooded by the ocean. And it's a very, very green ocean, green yellowish ocean. Big coral reefs there. You can shoot them. You do have impact effects. There's the seaweed and a few other objects. On top of this, I think. There you go. You can get on top of these bricks. And this was a cut song from the first Rogue Planet I wanted to add.
Let the bodies hit the floor.
Let the bodies hit the floor. Yeah, exactly. New lines. But this was a song that I had recorded very early.
Only the strongest will survive.
Only the strongest will survive. Play my own strings like a damn Barbie doll. Anyway, this was a song called Connection. It was the original end credits theme before I had a friend of a friend sing a song for me, and I used that instead. However, since the original connection of sorts was totally cut and that entire plot line went nowhere, was ultimately scrapped, so too was the song that was associated with it. And this song was once for a plot where Marcus and Aurora were lovers and went on a journey together through Earth that was highly terraformed, like Fallout with radiation, but the radiation was actually like linked to devil worship and other stuff, so that is still a theme I want to explore in this universe, and you know, maybe like deal more with the religious themes of Apocalypse, since I think they would be pretty interesting to delve into, and especially nowadays when so many tend to avoid that. Ultimately, like out of fear of offending people, yet they seemingly have no care against murder, or you know. Well, I think killing people is pretty offensive. It's quite, you know, in the description of what you are doing. You are killing, you are hurting another person by its very nature to the point where they die. So I think if you're willing to kill people in video games, you know, your moral compass is a little bit different. New grenade sound, by the way. Just gonna turn that up. I'm going to have the sound effects here. Throw a grenade for you. Boom. And that is the grenade sound from the first Rogue Planet. I got the rubble as well. And little chunks that go everywhere. It doesn't leave a particle or like a decal. Bullet holes do that already, and that already hurts the frame rate enough as is, but you get a big smoke cloud. Same with this. Flashbang. So, here's the ocean. And all these different layers that have been added on top of each other. Another thing I've done is the audio menu is attached to the same menu for the graphics, but when you press the graphics button, well, that applies the graphics settings, not the audio settings. And since these are two different menus, you can see the warning as well. You can exit this menu by pressing the same key you used to enter it. Well, this button correlates to this menu, and this button here correlates to this menu. So let's say if I wanted to turn down the effects and the post-processing, and then I wanted to turn the resolution up to 1080p, and also if it says 0, 0, then that means there's no change. So don't panic, that doesn't mean you're going to have no screen. That means you're just not going to see any change. So if you're already 1080p, means you're going to be at 1080p. But since high settings only has this at about 75, let's say we bump up the sharpness, we turn down post-processing and effects as well, we apply, and now we've got a little less blown out lighting, a little bit sharper. And that's the way, if you do actually want a sharp and very good, like clarity-wise game, you can just straight up turn off a lot of these disorienting effects, because the problem with a lot of Unreal Engine is that not just that they've removed a lot of options, it's that they've also baked in a lot of disorienting, like bloom and haziness, on top of temporal anti-aliasing, on top of motion blur, on top of depth of field. It's no wonder why these games don't look as good as they should, when it's like you've added 17 Vaseline filters on top of each other and then expected a different result other than just me at the zoo from 2006. So, I'm not saying I'm a botanist, but I am saying if you put water on plants, I think they fucking grow, right? That's a kill. But yeah, bunch of seaweed in here now. Business as usual still goes on. They've just taken a break for lunch, so don't worry. They're having pizza. So you can climb this ladder as well. If you would like to climb this ladder, you can get to the top, and we'll have a view of the map from above. And as you can see, even though it's the same building, there's a totally different dynamic element where you have this seaweed in the map that conceals a lot of sniping positions. So sniping is not quite as advantageous in this area as it was before. And it's little elements like this I've added to help mix this up. You can see a bunch of algae and dust and other, bubbles and streams of water going through. Because it's something that's just a little pet peeve of mine these days. It's like, if you have a cool setting, cool idea, you have this cool ocean environment, why can't I shoot people in it? If you're going to make a first-person shooter game, and, you make an ocean, give me a map in the ocean. I don't care if it makes sense or not. I don't care if it's just some fun little one-off multiplayer map. Halo Infinite, give me ocean maps. Oh, you're not going to? Okay, goodbye. I'm going to make one. That's what I want to play. I thought that looked cool. You could have done some interesting shit, Microsoft, but, yeah, I'll do it myself. Of course, some algae has been added in there. some seaweed as well. The usual. I will show you another map as well. But, show you the army base. I've been working on these, a lot of the optimization, the frame rate of which, while just trying to make them look pretty. In this case, I've added a lot of new debris that fades in and out, and I will also show that the zombie survival version of the map has had a significant amount of progress on it since. Now my plan for the stress test is to release this in March. It'll be offline, it'll just be bots, and it will be purely a limited time thing. There will be a full proper demo for this later. The reason why this stress test will be limited time is simply because I am asking $20 for this game, so this little test of sorts I'm going to want to eventually upsell. So this is the power of the audio. If there's a lot of shooting, well, there you go. Just turn the shit off, right? But anyway, as I was saying, the idea is I'm going to do a limited time test on that, and the reasoning behind it is I'm going to eventually do a demo with more stuff in it, but it's going to get more optimized as it goes, so ultimately it's going to have a better experience, and I don't want you to have, you know, a shitty half-assed version of the game compared to just one good working version of the game, as well as I see the cookies and cream and the other weapons that work just fine. We'll shoot that. This one. So, no sound. So if you do want this shit to look sharp, run well, there you go. Or at least well enough, anyway. Turn the effects to tater, turn the post-processing to average, and you will have a much sharper looking game. Then you can turn other settings up if you like, for reference. A little blown out, and that's just done mostly to hide shit off in the distance and look kind of funny, but you want to turn that off, you can. But anyway, as for the stress test of this game, my intention is to give you a good demo. It has all the maps in here. It's only going to have team deathmatch. It's only going to have zombie survival. My reasoning behind making it limited time is I don't want to troubleshoot multiple versions of the game at the same time. And I just want to give you one really good version. So that way I upsell you on the game, you buy it, and you know, you're happy. Because ultimately the whole troubleshooting part was kind of problematic. People had 5 demos of the game. They didn't know which one to go for, so they'd ultimately go for the Steam version, and I would have to go through the hassle of saying, no, the Steam version is broken and outdated, and that's only up, and I had a warning on there, the news, and I want you to play the itch.io version called Dead Sand, because that's the actual final game, not the pre-alpha that was on Steam, so just to avoid some headache, I would like to, you know, do these more limited time tests, and then try to get people in on those. So once stress test 1 is done, you'll have stress test 2 take its place, and then you'll have, I don't know, the demo to upsell you on the game, and then the game. Basically, there'll be a few demos, there'll be a few, well not demos, stress tests. There'll be one demo, of course, and that's the one to try and sell you on the game, but there will be some online ones, but I'm thinking it'll be 2 stress tests as opposed to the lengthy, like, kind of 5 that I had before. And the final game will just kind of be, you know, it'll be done, it'll be complete when it's ready. My release date for the actual game is March of 2027. So this March I want to do the first stress test, and then maybe fall or Christmas, I'd like to do Stress Test 2, and then early next year, March, try to release the game. Maybe in January I have a demo for it, basically. We have the Josh as well. They've been waiting for you. But yeah, you can see map is running, looking pretty good. Some stuff can and will fade in. Might be a little laggy while I'm recording it, but I've managed to get about 100 frames a second usually. That said, stuff does fade in and out, like the trees. There's still some optimization work I could do, I'm sure. But there's the music, the audio, the other stuff. I'd like to show you the zombie survival version of this as well, which I've put quite a lot of work into. Trying to polish it up and look nice. Especially since it's gonna be the first map that I expect people will play. And my plan is to just do something very simple, like put all the other maps in there. Just like use the default there as the base for them, clean them up, get the zombies spawning in, make the map work, and then you're all good and dandy, and you got all the shit there in the maps. Guns on the walls you can buy, and other fun stuff, you know. Zombies come kill you, and you gotta stop them. So, let me set this here, and I'm gonna set this to high. And then I'm going to use the console and the stat. There we go.
To run. Fight for your life.
So this here has, I would say this is currently the final rendition of this map. I've got the reflections working, I've got most of the lighting issues toned down and fixed up as best I could. And also, just to give you a boost, you get an M4 assault rifle. They come for you. As you can hear as well, or maybe you can't. I don't know. If you can't hear it, turn up your volume. It's pretty loud. As you can probably hear, the M1 A4 also has custom sounds. They can be tuned.
The best you surrendered.
As well as that, there's some ambience in the background, the brain fog song. Some music now plays throughout this map. And one thing I wanted to show is the screen space reflections. If you go to set this up, and I've set that up by 5s now as opposed to 1, because I don't want you to click this 100 times just to get it up. We set this to tater. And there we go. Now, of course, you can also just set the effects to average if you would like as well. And every setting in between. You got the low, the medium, the high, the ultra, and the maximum, which is just totally wasteful. But if you have a computer that can run it, I'm more than happy to let you play this game in the most unoptimized form possible, down to the most PlayStation 1 level possible. So this here is 9. I have an MP40. And the gunshot from this was actually taken from a real one. So I was able to get a real MP40, shoot it, and take the sound. That's what it sounds like. It was a little windy when I recorded it, but there you go. Zombies as well. They work using their growls, as well as the announcer. Let's say I wanted to turn up the music, sound effects, of course, and the ambient volume. Maybe you don't like the growls, right?
Terror change. Lights out.
So I still need to add the Grim Reaper's voice to the slider. But when the zombies come, they will make no growling sounds. You hear that? Sweet sound of silence, my friend.
Spare change.
Oh no. Ammo is trapped in the fence. I'm gonna go around here and see if I can get it. Nope. Watch out for some power-ups. They may try to deceive you.
One shot, one kill.
So I've added a lot of wood around the map, a lot of debris. After all, this is a city on fire. There's a bunch of trash and boxes and concrete rubble. Other stuff as well. If I go in here, you can really start to see the lighting, especially being very nice. It's no longer kind of blown out like it used to be.
Keep up. Your time has come.
The time has come. So as well as that, you can also, just a little detail, you can read all of the names of the soda. We got Coca-Cola, of course not affiliated with Coca-Cola. This is a parody. You have Sante, and you have Coca-Cola Cherry, which these are all parody names. Of course, this is another thing that I really wish I could not have to take for granted in games now, but you can actually read the shit on the menu. And what this says as well, you can see the little scratches that are on the register, and you know, it's little things like this that when the Xbox One came around, I just never really, you know, thought I would be taking for granted, but since they couldn't be bothered to do their job, I decided to do mine as well as I could. And, you know, there we go. We got fire, we've got gas stations on set ablaze,
Only the strongest will survive.
ashes and sparks up in the stratosphere, smoke and fire, and all manners of lovely post-apocalyptic shit. Also made a new texture for the buildings, because in the first Rogue Planet they did have a darker appearance, so I decided to make them a black texture with white windows, as opposed to the white texture with black windows that they once had. George here as well has a rather lovely face, and he loves to show it around these parts. As you can hear, they are not growling, which means that the yield graphics and audio menu is working as intended. So we are going to pretty cool.
One shot, one kill.
And I've just kind of been going through the game, polishing up some areas, making them look good, making them run good, making there be settings that you can tone and tweak. So if you want the game to look, you know, really good, boom, there you go. This is the epic setting. So maybe you want to make this look the absolute maximum. Well, we are going to push this to the maximum. Every setting, max sensitivity, max pain, baby. So there you go. An absolute shitstorm of fire, death, and ashes. My computer's lagging because the effect is kind of intense, but that's the idea behind it. Everything that can be drawn in will be drawn in as much as possible, and you can absolutely have a completely opulent and wasteful set of settings set to the very highest, no things popping out or in.
You won't last much longer.
Explosions that reflect off of stuff, you name it. It can and it will happen. Everything's set to their highest they possibly can. Most of the pixelation on a lot of textures is gone now. But yeah, as you can see, the storm gets incredibly dense. The storm of ashes and fire, almost to the point where it overwhelms the sky up above, which is just clever, you know, artistry, where I put the ashes and fire in the skies as well as on the ground. And I'll really show this effect off, looking pretty cool here on the interior, which I've added a bunch of blood and more wood to. This as well, you can see that there is a glowing shelf with a bunch of ashes that are just in the building as well. As these lights flicker around, some of them. This one doesn't, because this one didn't like to cooperate with this one, so if you wonder why this one doesn't flicker, but the others do. Well, that'd be why. And the texture, the virtual texture scaling, especially at a distance, is increased. Now there's like a texture filtering setting with virtual textures that does go pretty low at times on lower settings, just to ensure that you get a high frame rate, because I'm pulling out all the stops I can here on Unreal Engine, and especially with a lot of more recent releases, I think it could certainly benefit from it. You can absolutely shoot the shit out of a horde of zombies as well. They're coming. Yeah, that's right. They want me dead. Explosions galore. Darkness. Boom. So there you go. You can set the effects up to the maximum. Let me go grab a good gun for this. Go grab the rave gun. So you can really test this.
I will set you free.
And as you can see with the higher effect settings, is when that guy blew up, it was reflected on the wall. You can see that the lights are actually reflecting from this gun on the wall next to me because of the screen space reflections that I've added into this map. Now, I'm going to start this, and they're going to come in. Lights also reflecting in the puddle if it's on the screen. So if it's not, well, it goes away. Screen space. So just little effects like these, they are pushed to all of them being on screen, which can tank the frame rate. But it's why they're cold out of view on the higher the high settings. Here on the maximum, you can see that nothing is really cold out of view, which gets the frame rate down to like 70. But I'm using a 14-year-old computer with an 8-year-old graphics card. So if you can, actually no, a 9-year-old graphics card. So a 9-year-old graphics card on a 14-year-old computer, and if you can do this on a 14 or 9-year-old computer roughly, with DDR3 RAM, well hey, I imagine more powerful computers are going to have a breeze running this. But that's what the stress test is going to be for, so I don't want to jinx it. But when you get to playing the game, I sure hope that it all goes well. So we've got other things in here, more ashes and more fire, mostly just the giant shitstorm of death outside, which is rather lovely to see. We set that to high, and you can see the difference. So there we are. So even beyond Ultra, there still are pretty major changes that throughout this game will change your experience visually and from a sound point as well. If we go to the army base destruction, or actually no, and one thing I have done, I've done some more work on the Atlantis, the original Atlantis map, and the original Santa Fe map as well. So before, I was having a bit of trouble getting those running correctly. The way that I was able to optimize them was a little screwy, a little brute forced, but I did get it working, and I'm going to show you those now. Santa Fe as well as Atlantis, which I made whole different variants of. I've been able to restore the original versions of the map by cutting down a lot of the excess objects and rebuilding a lot of the geometry and lighting manually and converting it to a static system, which before was stuck in the movable stuff. Now it's running at about 100 to 70 frames a second on this computer. As well as that, you can see that things now properly fade in and out. There's rocks off in the distance to kind of, you know, give off the illusion that there's a wall there when there really isn't. So I grab this, the Patriot. Zoom up here, frame rate holds steady. It's still below 100, which is just kind of the nature of the beast of this map in a way. I've also added some ammo crates just throughout all the maps as best I could. When I aimed up here before, it was getting like 15 frames a second. I was able to fix this by removing most of the terrain that was originally included with this map, because this was a reworked template map that I then just... The only thing that was similar originally I used in the rescue maps was the landscape. So this, like this ground, and that's it. Everything else, maybe the plane, a few of the buildings, but otherwise it was all redone from scratch. And in this case, I've kept a lot of the caves and other stuff, and rebuilt the original planned Atlantis map from the existing assets that were already in the template, and I've added some holes in the cave roofs, which did cut down on the absolutely obscene amount of rock models that were in here, because the person who made this had all of this casting shadows, as well as that it was set to movable, fully dynamic, unoptimized lights for like a day-night cycle that this game just simply doesn't have or need. And I went through and rebuilt this wall. Try to get through there. It's not going to work. There's little gaps in the terrain though have been added, so it gives you the illusion you can escape, but you can't. I've made the walls so high you can't even jump over them. So you want to try and get out, be my guest. If you can escape this map, good luck. I would love to see you try. First person to escape the maps gets their initials up there. So the challenge is on. Try to break my game. I know there's going to be people who love that. Grass also fades in. That's handled via the foliage system. So let's say you want to turn that shit down, you want to turn that shit down, and that shit down. And then you want to turn the internal resolution up all the way. And there you go. So it'll just look like fish are coming from out in the distance. This does help the frame rate a little bit as well, but as you can see, half of the map just disappears, which it was one of the only ways I could get this working. It was not pretty. It was certainly a very hacky and kind of at times frustrating fix, but it did work. That's a little bit better, as you can see. If we turn the view distance up to ultra, some of it's loaded in, not quite all of it. The idea is that there's this rock face in the background way over there that kind of hides any transition from the ground up to the ocean, and just looks like waves off in the distance. Waves or rocks. So if I turn this up to wasteful, we go back in. The actual view distance has been properly, optimized as best as I could. That being said, it doesn't hit the 100 FPS target, but on this hardware, which is, more than a decade old, on average, it's about, well, if you average the two, 9 and 14, well, that'd be about 11, 12 years old, so not bad, right? Windows 10, 2015. Hell, I don't even know if this could run on Windows 7, but if y'all got Windows 7 computers still, feel free to give it a try. The more more the merrier in my eyes. Windows 7 is awesome. You guys need games too. If we set foliage and the grass will scale accordingly, well, there you go. There's 100 frames. And this and a few others like the Santa Fe map are the ones that actually do use the foliage, so since there's like 5,000 blades of grass that all individually were modeled, animated, and just spammed throughout this, you can turn them off if you want. The foliage is really only for that. As for the other bits of grass, those are just proper models that are controlled by the view distance setting. Because the way that I make this game is not too dissimilar from how you would make maps in the Source engine using brushes, or just Unreal Engine 3, or hell, even the way that Halo made their maps before they had switched over to Blender completely, because that's the way that Halo with Bungie and the way they had made their maps. Let me show you Santa Fe here. I'm going to show you the radar array, and I'm also going to show you a few other maps. So this was the original Santa Fe map that I had shown off about 20 or so devlogs ago. And this map was working pretty well up until I had switched from a static, or from a mostly dynamic system to a static system to try and improve performance and stability, and Vulkan and other stuff had been switched to as well. It was not, the old system that I had was not very good for low-end computers, which I was attempting to sort of get into this game. So if it's not going to run well on a crappy computer, which I guarantee most people have, that's not good for business. There we go. We're going to set that shit to that, and that. There we are. So you can set the internal resolution to other values as well. Let's say I want to turn it to 55. Everything in between is allowed. Let's say I wanted to run the game at 720p. And I wanted to set all of this shit to medium and low. About, yeah, we'll set that to average. And we'll just turn off anti-aliasing entirely. And there we go. You got Rogue Planet running on the PlayStation 3. Well, not officially, but you get what I mean. So, there we go. We're going to set that to high. And then just to keep this sharp for YouTube's sake, I'm going to turn this and this and this. And there we go. So there we are. So, map has changed a bit. The biggest problem was the landscape. I was able to fix this. Before, what would happen is there was an issue where if you looked up in, like, if I could show you, hold on. If the view distance was set up and you looked like right there, your frame rate would die. And so would this guy. But anyway, your frame rate would die if you looked up like right there. And it's still kind of chugging along, mostly because of the view distance on the trees, but I was able to salvage the original look of this map, even got the shadows. You don't have soldiers with dynamic shadows anymore, but you do have them running around with headlamps still. And the shadows on these, of course, the way that I've done shadows, they'll have like one, maybe two or three big objects off in the distance, and they will have shadows cast onto them. In this case, the shadows from the city are on the map that's below it. So there's like 1, 2, and like 3. 3 shadows tops. That runs considerably better than the 7 or 6,000 that I had before. Now this is still technically static, but the way I had to do it was I had to set it to stationary and then set the dynamic shadow distance to like 1. So it's technically only dynamic if you're like right on it, but you would never fucking see that. So basically in practice this is just always a static shadow, which it did have its own set of issues. Some of the buildings look like they got black spots on them now, but better than no shadows, I suppose, because you do not want to miss out on the black shadows. And there, as you can see, the shadows from over yonder. So they might be a little goofy looking. Nice to see you, fuckface. But yeah, I've managed to keep this map, and I've managed to improve the performance a little bit. As you can see, the old effects as well. I also have the ashes that fall out from the sky, the lighting. There was also, if you're unaware of the volumetric cloud system, in this version of Unreal Engine 4, the volumetric clouds run like absolute garbage, so Epic, I guess in their infinite wisdom, decided that the more Unreal Engine 4 got updated, they needed to screw up performance of perfectly fine and already optimal systems. So if you ever wonder why Unreal Engine 4 games from around 2016 actually seem to run better while having these effects, well, that'd be why. A lot of that shit just got knocked the fuck out, and since I can't go back, well, kind of stuck in the doomed reality I've got. So I'm making the most out of it so you can have this this map that I showed off. I really don't want to pull like the same thing that Ubisoft tends to do, where they'll just show you a different version of the map, and then once the game comes out, it's like not even the same thing. Like Far Cry 3 or Far Cry 4 or Watch Dogs. Like, no, I've made a few changes, but that's just for the sake of the skybox and performance. Because when you look up there with this machine gun, it was going down to 15 frames per second. That is unacceptable. Now it's like the map is consistently 70 to 80, sometimes 60. I think that's preferable. I mean, you're still hitting 60 in that regard. Even though I'm aiming for 100, that's more so to guarantee that weaker systems can play the game. How weak? Don't know, but that's what a test will be for. So here's the radar array. Other maps I've optimized have been minor things, mostly just I've added music to them. If I went over that shit, I'd have about a 7-hour video, and as much as I would really like to, it's kind of late, and I don't want to do that, so I'm not gonna. I'm gonna show you the important bits, and then I'm gonna have to get going because this video is already gonna be long as fuck. So I'll wait for Lagora here to boot up, and I'll hop to it. Excuse me. That is the work of Taco Bell. When you put Taco Bell down your gullet, it tends to come back up. But anyway, here we are. I've managed to somewhat optimize the radar array as well. I have added a big tree. Sorry, I like the sound of my guns, but I don't like them shooting while I'm trying to present the video game to you. But anyway, I've added a big tree over there, casting, in this case, about 7 big shadows. And those shadows are cast in this map here that I'm in, over there. Another thing I've added is just a minor detail from the first game. So if you chose the good path, and actually if you looked out to the side in the first level of Rogue Planet, there was underneath the water, and the water is no longer transparent because I could not even be fucking paid to make that effect work in this game. because the technology is far, far more demanding than it was in Game Guru. If you look over there, out into the glow, and I think the only way you can do it is with the sniper rifle. So let me go grab the Dragunov equivalent, roughly. The clubs. I have 100 weapons. There's a lot of them. Over 100 weapons. So let me go grab the clubs. Go in here. I grab the clubs. That's the only way to see this Easter egg. Shoot the Illuminati. I'm going to go over to the trees that are down there. And if you take the sniper rifle, you look about right there, you can see the swing set that Dexter from the first game, who was Marcus's adopted wolf dog, swung on, terrified the little children. You can see the swings are actually down there, which is just a little detail that I've added from the first game and the other paths to show you that in fact Marcus was telling the truth about a lot of the stuff, and you can even see the waves kind of go over. So the water has actually been improved from the 2D texture that it was, though the swimming in there was ultimately ever just a death barrier. So you know, if you get out of this, well, you're not going to go very far. Or maybe you will. I don't really know. Haven't tested it, but if you can get out of this map, well, more to you. It's a big fence. You'd have to jump. So as you can see, shadows affect the gun I'm holding. They're all over this map. They're very dynamic. They move in the sunlight. I've also fixed some of the bloom being a little too blown out. And since you can turn down the post-processing settings and make it look a lot clearer, that's the way that I've designed this. So there's a lot less foliage back there, but now the foliage that is there, just, you have this tree that casts shadows, you have that tree, got that one, this one, and a few others. And I think the Illuminati and Game Over there have been possessed by the devil, so, They've been shot in the head so hard that they've deflated like a balloon. So, anyway, radar arrays, they have the shadows on them. There is one radar array that was over there as well that does cast shadows. So now it's this thing that I've found consistently throughout the development process is if you're able to make the game still look good by using a small trick, like having a big tree off in the distance, and then have that one tree cast a bunch of shadows onto your map, well, your performance is going to increase significantly. And the lower frame rates and the numbers of those frame rates are going to be much higher, which means performance across the board is going to be smoother because I'm improving the 1% and the 0.1% lows of the video game, so it runs better. So you have this static shadow here, roughly. The skylight as well, I had to redo some of that. We go to, I believe it was Heresy. And Heresy has gotten a few big changes. Some optimization done to it as well. Draw distance. It's got some wonderful music, and I'm going to show you that. This is probably my favorite music, so I decided, you know, we're going to put it in the Satan Church today, because there's no party like hell parties, and you're going to see that. So I'm just kind of running over existing maps. These have all been polished up. Death party. Let's dance, George. Get in the line, we're forming a conga. Fight for existence. George, 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 George. Fun things I do when I have God motivated. Devil watches us all, judges. Kick the bodies too. Also fixed the shine that they had by turning off their shadows. This is the Communist Manifesto, of course, as well. God rays are still here, in case you're curious. So when you look out there, you can still see the sun. Or more accurately, you see the sun reflected on you. There are also screen space reflections added. But now you can more clearly see that guy is red, as opposed to just a shiny white like he was before. The Satan plates have been added in, different runes, Illuminati and shit. Pretty freaky deaky shit. But jump down, you see the upside down cross with the Satan sight. The eye looks back. There we go. So just some optimizations that have been done to this game. There's a lot more, but I am going to let you have fun with those. When you get to the game, I'm going to show you one more map here. I've done some more work on the others, but you will see for yourself when you get to play. This is the last one, the lumber mill. Did some optimization to it. It also had more dynamic lights and trees than it needed, so cut back on those a little bit and was able to still save the original lighting mostly. I did also remake some of the ground and sky lighting to make it look a little bit less blown out. So here we are, the Major Malevolence's music. It's a lovely tune. Some wind and other ambience has been added, as well as fire, which I think before did not have a sound on this map for some reason. It did, it was too quiet. Of course, the freedom gun, USA is dominating. They still cast shadows. So it's a little more yellow than it was, but now you can see the sun properly. Shines through the clouds as it should. On the gun. A lot of these no longer have any shadows like they did before, so now the performance has been improved. Shadows also do draw in, but for the most part they are dynamic, stationary shadows. You just have a different transition because of the virtual texture system. That is kept in so that you're able to have a very steady and high frame rate. You can very clearly tell this man is a rebel. He is wearing red. I've also moved the onion gardens. And the Onion Boy's house is still there. Shadow's been removed on a lot of these objects, just so the game still looks good and performs good. I'm trying to get the right mix of, like, you know, muddy Xbox 360 textures and Unreal Engine 4 lighting looking good, but running good was kind of, I think, the biggest challenge throughout this compared to the first game. The first game, making a map was so easy that actually I thought a toddler could do it. Meanwhile, like, this is a little more intricate, this is a little more complex. And especially since there are more players involved and all of that. It's a multiplayer game as opposed to a single player one. You can see there's a bit of a difference. Fences as well, they pop in and out off there in the distance. This is just another little optimization that I've done to kind of help the frame rate a bit, really look off there. You can see they fade in and out like chunks, but the transition is pretty minuscule. Little details like the beams on top of the building as well. Just little tricks like those that can help you get a better frame rate. And other things too. Shadows from this tree are still cast on the ground. You get all over your gun. So there are dynamic shadows that also cast on these logs and just other details. Shadows on that. And doing this has increased the minimum frame rates. Meanwhile, the maximum ones are still about 100, maybe below 100, but 90 frames a second, who the fuck's gonna complain about that, right? Except me. But anyway. Yeah, go on the inside of this. Can't shoot out these lights because they're needed to make sure it's just total darkness, but we have the anti-armor, right? We have AI getting stuck on a car. I think he was gonna go to Walmart, but he didn't quite. Now that motherfucker went to Taco Bell. There we go. Anyway, just wanted to show that stuff off. There's going to be a lot of different changes to maps as well. Before I head out, of course, I'm going to show you something real cool. Is a flyby of this lumber mill. And a zoom out of the whole location there. So there you go. Thanks for watching. Hope to have another part up here soon. But thankfully, progress on this game has been going very well so far. I'm going to have the first stress test I'm aiming out by March of this year, March 2026. If I'm going to be realistic, I'd say probably March 31st. That's not a guarantee, it's just a rough guideline. In that time, I'm going to be polishing up the rest of the game and its maps, just making them look really pretty, making them run good and look good. And then I'm going to make all of the maps that are in the PvP work in the zombie survival mode. And since they'd already polished up, I could just copy paste them in there, and then you fight zombies. So pretty simple. 37 PvP maps and 37 zombie survival maps. That's more than Black Ops 6 and 7 combined. I'm treating you. Anyway, that does it. Thanks for watching.